It's been quite a few years since I last connected with my guest, at least through the voice. But he is one of the more inspiring rhythmists, percussive players that the world has ever seen, starting in really free and tribal jazz situations, and then playing with Jimi Hendrix and Archie Shepp, and then basically starting his own jazz festivals when he deemed them in New York not to be representative of the local musicians. He continues on today with his own fusion world music. Sultan, welcome back to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you very much, Jake. It's been a long time. So I've been following you, for a number of years. So.
What can I ask you a question? Sometimes I get a little bit lost in the vibe. What about my show resonates with you?
Well, the eclectic nature.
Yeah.
Simple. I mean, I can get long-winded, but I mean, off the top, that's what I would say. That it's very like myself. It covers, even though it's mainly a jazz spectrum, it covers quite a diverse area. So.
Hey, I appreciate that. Eccentricity, esoteric stuff. To me, that's what it's all about. I have to ask you, Jim Keltner, the great drummer, studio drummer, he grew up in Altadena,
Right.
And in the late 50s, he was in a band with a bunch of younger cats, and they would go religiously to this club called the Dragonwick to see Bobby Hutcherson and Charles Lloyd play.
Oh, yeah.
And Lloyd dubbed them like the modern jazz sextet. Again, Keltner, this is when all he wanted to be was Philly Joe Jones before he went into the studio. But he said that those were essentially his elders, the guys in that group. And I was like, did Juma go scope out the Dragonwick? Or what were some of the clubs that you were frequenting in the mid to late 50s in Southern California?
Well, in the late 50s, it was, let's see. To be honest with you, in the late 50s, I was singing the blues and playing guitar and then in college. And so the clubs I was going to were like the beatnik clubs and just before the hippie movement.
Okay, so this is really important. Like, you're talking
Fifth Estate in Hollywood. Taj Mahal and different people were coming along. We're around the same period.
Sure. No, I wanted to. Would you consider yourself like? Because I know Taj started in a jug band. Were you in a jug band?
Yeah, the jug band I was in was the Shuffle jug band, played the Jabberwock in Berkeley with Country Joe and those guys.
Rest in peace, Country Joe, man. This is unbelievable, dude.
That's before they came to Fish. It was called the Shuffle and Skiffle Band.
The Shuffle and Skiffle Band. Are you kidding me?
No.
All right, so tell me, I mean...
that was very, and all those cats, very...
Barry Melton.
I don't know if he's still here, but we talked a few years back.
Oh, he's still alive. I can give you his number if you want.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's so long, but way back, Man, there's so many just different activities, but,
because like there was there were just an amazing amount of, like you said, folk and blues sort of clubs, John Lee Hooker and Lightning Hopkins, and I mean, were you?
Oh yeah.
Were you going to check those?
All those guys way back then, our elders, that's what we're coming off of.
So can you talk about the accessibility? What I mean by that is like how close you were able to be to those guys if you had a chance to. Those guys, that was the sound of God, really,
Well, yeah, that's what. Well, at that time, I was in. You mentioned Altadena. I went to Pasadena City College before I dropped out, and then I went to UCLA. So, as an art student, first I was in politics. Part of that whole young people socialist movement.
Absolutely.
And so it was always partying. It was always a movement. It was always activities, and it was also, you know, I was attracted to the basically the intellectual quality coming from the ghetto, coming from that segregated element that was happening all over the country.
So would you say that not that you're like maybe your family wasn't necessarily formally educated, but they gave you a lot of intelligence and you sought that out to get out of the ghetto?
Well, when you say formally educated, I'm not formally educated, so I understand. Although I've gone to a few colleges and thus forth, but when you say, like my father came from Louisiana. He came to California, and he worked for the Postal Service. He worked for the Postal Service.
Sure.
Out on the train. So that was considered a decent job in those days, in the 40s, and when he came from the Navy, and stuff. So, and then he was he worked for civil service, and I had a couple of stepmothers. They were all civil servants, things like that. So, and my father and his family, and on my mother's side, the lineage, I had an uncle that came and opened a store and became probably one of the earliest millionaires in that area, selling property and
Wow.
doing, different things.
You mean because I'm curious, like Ndugu Chancellor, the rest in peace, the great drummer, his father had a very good business in Louisiana. I forget the name of the town, but basically was run out of Louisiana, and this huge, obviously a bunch of people migrated to the Bay Area, but there was also a huge influx of Creole families that moved into the Los Angeles area. Would you say your dad did he leave Louisiana on his own free will?
Yeah. He left Louisiana, hoboing across the country.
Wow.
Stopped in Galveston, Texas. Ran into my mother. Her grandfather owned one of the earliest, probably the first black sawmill in Galveston, in the country that I heard. And that was in Galveston, Texas, and that was just after all the freedom movements.
Sure. So, Freedom Rider. Yeah.
No. Way beyond that. Emancipation. Okay.
Holy, yeah, okay, exactly. Way before that, yeah. So,
I was part of the generation of the Freedom Riders and thus forth. But
yeah, you were part of the Art Blakey generation, no doubt about it.
Blakey had me by 10 years, but Blakey, those guys were people I looked up to, because I was raised on Open the Door Richard and Caledonia and Louis Jordan, and those guys are what I heard when my dad owned a restaurant on Route 66 with my mother's brother, my uncle, who I told you. They were always into business,
Yeah.
And so, but with that, he came to Galveston, Texas. He, who knows? He fell in love with my mother, who was just a youngster, and said, "When I get to California, I'm gonna send for you." And that had to be back in the 30s,
Incredible. Okay, so he was out. You were, yeah, right. He was already well established in Cali when you came along, and then.
Oh, let's see. By the time I came along, they were. I was in the middle of a whole brood. Okay, so,
yeah.
Basically, I believe 9, something like that,
Can you talk about how liberating, even like looking back, the perspective of when you look at that entire musical movement coming out of the blues and going into jug bands and Taj and David Lindley and, all these sort of this huge. I mean, Lindley was going to see Mingus at the Dragon Wick, and but can you, in terms of playing music, can you tell? You had this skiffle band, and did you feel like this uninhibited by? Because I mean, it was just about picking up an instrument and learning it, and learning how to tune it yourself, or learning how to do your own thing. And I just wonder, in today's world, where every everything's been so codified. Languages and music have been very much sort of stilted because everything's moved into the academy, and they're
Yeah, but it was just, it's the word that came into my head was homogenized, because in
that's
those
right.
periods there were no
Labels.
formidable music education for the type of music that we deal with presently. There were restrictions even on artists of color that were doing operas. If you look at the history, as far as that goes, it's been distorted. But for the music, now you're talking about my personal experience after coming out of what they call race music, okay, because I was born through that period,
Right.
and coming up and having my own experiences, and decided to become before it was before the flower period. But my curiosity, I was always interested. When you go to like Venice Beach, and you have the beat generation, and cats are improvising jazz with poem and reciting poetry over music, and it was much different than going to the Fifth Estate in Hollywood, where the folk scene was. So, and then once the acid and all the other stuff hit that period, it was like totally eclectic. Okay.
So did you by chance? This is it's so beautiful to like start sort of, these colors are coming back to me. But after I interviewed you, I connected with Lester Chambers from okay, and he talked about going to Venice Beach and playing on the brush bars of cars. Everybody was out in the beach playing percussion. This was like late 50s, before Chambers Brothers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So you were out there. I mean,
I was out there before them, way back when before they were the Chambers Brothers, because
right.
There was always drum sessions, and those were training grounds on the weekends for musicians, that people would get together, and you had not a lot of bongos except for the Latin cast, and the guys be bringing bongos and different instruments, and those were training grounds, just like in Berkeley, along North Beach, and also on the campus of Walmart around the time, around what you're talking about, the late 50s and early 60s.
I want you to go a little bit deeper on this, because you just brought up a great word, and the word is training. The training today, younger cats are learning to read music before they learn to hear the music. And there's all these sort of rules that have been thrown in. Again, we're talking today's modern era. What was training? I mean, to me, was it about, I mean, it wasn't an intellectual exercise. You guys were working out grooves. There was no sheet music. You weren't taking cues from a conductor. What was the training that you, Sultan, got with that sort of free-spirited pre-flower movement?
You mentioned the word right there, free-spirited, and I would only change add to free and willing, because
yeah, right.
The same thing I apply it today.
Right.
It has not changed. See, I have a band right now in Boston called Unification. Let's see, the guitarist plays 30, the drummer, they're all recent Berkeley graduates, okay? And they're very good, very experienced, but we have it together because they're learning to feel how does that sound, to feel the music, and the importance. You can get all the notes, but it's about a feeling you as a seasoned musician know what a groove is. Okay, you know that it goes no matter what you're playing. So yes, you can learn all the technique there, but the technique was learned individually, and like a lot of times you go somewhere and you play with cats, and the guy next to you say, "Hey man, I want to show you this," and they'll show you a certain rhythm, and it might take you personally a year to master it.
Right.
When you come back, and around, but it was the willingness to share and exchange, and the willingness to learn. That's really what it was about.
And it was also, let's be very clear, because you could talk about this better than almost anybody currently on the planet. This is so important. It was an oral tradition.
Oh, it was definitely an oral tradition. But
and that's what led to the generosity of it. It wasn't codified in these long books and theories and things that people held so possessive. It was, hey man, I'm talking to you. I'm going to show you a rhythm. And yeah, then you would go home and work on it. But it wasn't like people were not territorial or trying to.
Oh, there were plenty of egos and territory and things like that. But, I work with some of the artist taskmasters there. Like you catch a guy like Sonny Simmons. I got guys. I just did they wrote a book on him. And some of it is so true. But he was a true hard guy, But if you're open and if you wear your ego on the sleeves, it never would happen, no matter what your abilities.
Right.
So
well, so let's just get down to it. I mean, you're in the shuffle, skiffle, jug band, which just sounds ridiculous. You're playing for Country Joe. You've been absorbing all the Mississippi John Hurts and all those cats, and then, but you're telling me that you never heard, or when was the first time you got hooked into, I guess the bebop of that time?
Oh man, I way back, Chewberry, all those cats, man, way back before, the early, when you say kind of bebop, I'm looking at shit. Like you go back to Louis Jordan or Open the Door, Richard. Those cats, they weren't. They call it race music, but just like popular music in those days, it was very eclectic. And then I don't. I wasn't attracted to Paul Whiteman and the swing band.
No.
And those type of things, but there was all those periods, and so.
Well, no, because I guess maybe the better question is, after that jug band, what was your first real experience playing? Like,
no, that was the Shuffle and Skiffle band. That was at the I think Jabberwock in Berkeley, and that was like once a week kind of situation. It wasn't an actual gig. I was playing with everybody, and even at that time, was around the time that Big Sur was going on, and that's where I met the Chamber Brothers, not here in Connecticut where they had the house. You know what I mean? I met the Chamber Brothers in Big Sur before it was the Sultan Institute.
Well, I'm sorry. What was it called? Bixer? How do you spell that?
Sultan, E-S.
No, oh yeah, not Essalon. What was it called before?
It was a Big Sur. It was just.
Big Sur, of course. You met them there?
Yeah, with Joan Baez and all that shit.
Oh my God. Okay, so you were. It's fair to say that you were guys like.
I was all over the place.
No, but when I'm thinking about like. Before Kenneth Patchen, Ferlin Getty, were you playing with the poets?
No, I met those guys. I would be bouncing from Hollywood to Topanga Canyon to San Francisco. Real crazy. Could be once a week and then I was up there for periods of time. Like the guy Bill Ham, I stayed with him. He was one of the original inventors of the light shows.
Oh my dude, I am loved. Dude, this is so beautiful. So, but you were. And you were going. So I guess what I'm saying is when I opened about the late '50s in Keltner, going to the Dragonwick, you said you were just at that point, very heavy into blues and doing that.
No, Well, see, you got to realize I had an eclectic life. Okay, so the reason I didn't make a lot of those clubs there is that I had my own problem in the ghetto. You know, I was institutionalized
Right.
quite a bit. And I missed a lot. Even my I didn't graduate from high school. I had to get a GED to go to college. On and on. I've got in fact, my book. I hope to have it released by the spring. I just did my autobiography. I just on the final edits, but there's so much information in there.
I'm curious though, like you were institutionalized because you were a different.
Because I was incorrigible.
Right, you weren't. It wasn't like you really had mental illness. You just were.
No. I had unresolved differences. Okay, you know. Fortunately, the only time I had mental illnesses when they 4F'd me from at the draft, you know, and I was subject. That was the first time I was subject to mental examination, and the second time is when I went to court on 500 micrograms of acid and cussed the judge out, and I had to go under psychiatric observation.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of experiences, you know.
Well, no, I mean, and this is to me, this is what matters. So in San Francisco, North Beach, Bop City, what were some of the clubs that you were going to see cats at? You know, whether it was Lou Donaldson or
we were going all, you know, we were going, really during that period, the major jazz club was over on North Beach. All the name, and you know, the main one was like on the Fillmore After Hours, where all the musicians came together, and then you had Haight Street start up, Haight Ashbury start up, and
well, I'm talking before Haight, like there was a.
Good.
Was it? I mean, I'm talking like.
50s. No, in the 50s.
Yeah.
In the 50s, you gotta realize. Let's see. No, see, I'm looking at the 50s. I was just wasn't a lot of clubs. Like I say, Bobby Hutcherson and Herbie Lewis and those cats were just a little older than me. Arthur Jenkins, who was influenced on percussion.
Oh yeah.
You know, and they were ahead of me. You know, and so they were hitting the clubs, but you know, I can't. Lighthouse, Hermosa Beach.
Hermosa Beach, that's right. The Lighthouse was key.
Came in. Yeah. And it wasn't. I wasn't. You know, let's see. I'm trying to think. I really started getting into back into jazz to junior high. Okay, so you know I wasn't hitting the clubs at junior high that heavy. You know what I mean? And that was the late 50s, because you got to realize I was born in 42. Okay.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. What I'm trying to get at is these pilgrimages. Once you were doing gigs up to the Bay Area.
It wasn't always gigs. You got to realize I was eclectic, and I was always beating on something, and I just had the spirit of sound. And you have to realize that when I was going to, you know, I came through third grade playing trombone, piano lessons in between that. Sousaphone in junior high when I was there, and then no music for years, and then I came back playing guitar and singing the blues, and then I abandoned that when I met Sonny Simmons in 1964. You know, I mean, it's a whole series of evolvement there, and
so you would say that like before you met Sonny in '64.
Were nannies. That's all. I was, you know, before '64. I was mainly into the folk. That was before the heavy rock scene.
Absolutely, no, I'm with you 100%, man. This is what I'm trying to get at is Armando Peraza, Mongo Sen. If you went up there to bang on stuff, who were the percussionists?
Well, those cats came later in the '50s with Shelly, you know, Shelly Mann.
Cal Jader, man.
Excuse me.
And so, like, you still were not, you were not going and listening to records of Mongo with Cal.
No. What blew me away was when Tunji came through.
Talk about that. Please talk about Tunji.
Well, Tunji just came with, what was that? It had to be around 50, no, 60s. What? Yeah.
Yeah, early 60s probably.
Yeah, early 60s. Yeah, yeah.
Before you joined Sonny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I want you to please paint the picture of.
But he was just part of the of the so-called folk scene at that time. That's the cat. You know how people categorize stuff. So,
Well, he was absolutely. Of course, they do journalists, but I mean, he was coming from the tribal motherland of Africa.
He was coming very Afrocentric, which influenced the music more so because before that, the Afrocentricity came from Cuba and Latin America, and he brought another flavor. That's all.
Right. So was he? Did he just? Was he playing at the Jabberwock, or where would he play?
No. No. I only at that time I had not had the opportunity to meet him, and I was only listening to Drums of Passion and things like that.
That's right. Yeah, I have that. I have that record. It's so good, man.
And that was how we all dream off of something. So a lot of my early experience with my inner ear was listening to him more so than the Latin cats. It struck a stronger chord. So I was playing more of Afro instead of Latino.
And I guess I have to. I'm my apologies. 26 minutes in, but
we are.
You were obviously into percussion, but you were actually playing bass fiddle with Sonny, right?
Yeah. Well, yes. That's a whole. Everything we talk about is a long story. But
this is what I'm here. I mean, I'm not here for. I mean, I want to go into it because you saw Ray Brown somewhere. Maybe it.
Well, I would say it's a long story the way it evolved. Exactly. I don't know if you're. Well, you heard of Bird Wilson.
Who's that?
Bird Wilson.
That name does not ring a bell.
No, Bird Wilson was a saxophone player in a wheelchair. Lived in San Fernando Valley. He was a student of Barbara Donald, Sonny's wife.
Wow.
And that was a strong connection. So I mean, we can go on areas, but basically, I was a young hippie, and the way it wasn't even a hippie then, beatnik in Topanga Canyon when Sonny came through. And I was just doing hootenanny, sitting around the fire, singing the blues, and joining in with what was going on in that scene. And when he came through, and just his proficiency, it's brought back a whole lot of memories from my younger days. It brought back a whole other area of music, and I was smitten. How's that?
I think it's freaking. I think it's beautiful. I mean, But when you played upright, I mean, how did that work?
Well, at that time, I was still playing guitar, and actually, at that time, I was playing trumpet and guitar just for myself, pots and pans, and always I had a drum one drum for many years, and so I was floating around as just a creative, and.
So, can you talk about how you acquired your first bass?
Yeah, I went. I was telling you about Bird Wilson, and I was living in Cornell Corners, not far from Ronald Reagan,
right
at that time. And I went to Shelley Manhole.
Oh my God, I love it, Leroy Vinegar, dude.
And we were sitting there listening to music, and I was right near Ray Brown's bass pole.
Oh my God, this is legendary.
You know how? Well, see, you got to realize that Shelley Manhole, when you sit down, that maybe the stage was 4 feet.
Yeah, no, I've seen. I saw Ray Brown with Hampton Halls on video, and I mean, it's so intimate. It
was. I mean, I'm just saying it was there. And so what happened was that sound permeated. It went into me. Doom, doom, doom. It was just so beautiful. And so, the next day I said, hey, I'm going to get me a bass, and I started studying, Never really formally studied at that time, but I had guidance of Ron Matthews, who was one of the local bass players, he took me under his wings showed me how to tune it, how to move forward, and some basic lessons. And from then on, that was my heart to this day.
No, I think it's absolute. What were some of the things that Brother Matthews taught you?
No, just as I said, how to tune it.
Right.
He gave me a city mandel, and so that put me into learning my scales and chords and process, and then I eventually got I went on and studied out of the book Lil Ray Brown and incorporated. Never mastered all of it.
What about like I mean, because there were some like Jimmy Bond was out there at the time.
Yeah, I didn't know him. A lot of those cats I saw over a period of time, but I was a fledgling.
Of course you were, but I mean, obviously, incorrigible and a genius. I mean, like, you're just picking up the. So there's no. I mean, first of all, I have to also, because Barry Melton, we talked about this back in the jug band days. I mean, we're talking even early '60s with Fritz Richmond had a wash tub bass.
Right.
Did you ever have? Yeah. Did you ever carry one of those wash tubs around?
Oh yeah, I could do the.
Oh my God! I knew you were a wash tub cat, dude.
Yeah, but that was it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, so I mean, essentially, can you just talk about becoming comfortable in Sonny's band with Prince Laisha or John Hicks? I mean, who?
Okay, well, first of all, Prince and I never were friends. I don't know. We didn't have.
It's all right.
We didn't have good.
No good vibes,
Good vibes between us,
Mm-hmm.
I don't. We really, but
But, it happens, man. I mean, that's just the way it is,
No, it happens, especially if you're dealing with Prince Lachey.
Prince Lachey, yeah. No, I mean, he is so. There's like an album with Sonny and Eric Dolphy and Prince.
Beautiful.
But I mean, dude, that dude ran himself. I don't know what. He's a mystery, man.
Oh yeah, he's quite a character. So yeah. We came here to talk, but so when Sonny came through, and I just said, man, if I ever, and it just so happened that I stayed in Topanga Canyon, and then I moved to Berkeley.
Wow!
And when I moved to Berkeley, I was there with all the cats.
Dude, you were in Berkeley at the best time in the world.
Pharoah Saunders, all the cats were like in the Bay Area, and plus many more who were great musicians that had never been known, that were really high, I remember when Frank Lowe first came into town. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Frank Lowe, yeah, I know that name.
Well, yeah, he was one of the he went with Alice Coltrane when Train died. Frank.
Right.
He was the horn player for Alice when Train died. So there's so many stories, but we won't want to stay on here for hours. You'll be doing a lot of.
Well, no, we could definitely do. I was thinking we could definitely do a couple of parts. I mean, the last time we could definitely do a couple of parts, keep them to an hour apiece, because I mean, there's just too much. I just need. I mean, when you asked Sonny and he said, I want you to join my band. It was that simple.
No, when I moved up to Berkeley, he was good friends with one of my mentors, Charles Shackelford, who was a flute player in Clyde. He's the one that we hung out for years, and we traveled the coast together just playing music. He was a flute player and also very talented percussionist. In fact, he's on Manhattan Eagles with me and Sonny and I, and
Charles Shackelford was his name.
Well, we call him Shacky. It's
Shacky.
Charles Shackelford, but he was on the Holy Manhattan Eagles.
Sure.
Him and I did Dance of the Seven Cities or something on the back, where Sonny was playing English horn, and we did just percussion. I mean those types of things, and that was pretty much the nature that we did of music all around. He played flute, and we'd have a group of drummers, and we improvised, and or we had different tunes that we did.
I mean, to me, like that whole area was Eddie Moore on drums and Eddie Marshall on drums. I mean,
all those guys. Well, you got to realize Dewey Redman.
Oh my God, dude! It was ridiculous.
I'm just saying, all those cats came through, and boy, I almost jumped ahead because.
No, I'm going to keep you right in the '60s, dude. This is exactly where I want this because Charles Sullivan. That's the name I was thinking of. He owned
which one?
The guy who owned the Fillmore district before Bill Graham took over. It was all black commerce. His name was Charles Sullivan. And then he was found dead in a car, murdered. Some people think he was a murder for hire, and then Bill Graham took over the Fillmore. But when you went up there, moved to Berkeley in '66, you were going down to the Fillmore and playing with, is it fair to say, Merle Saunders and Eddie Moore and all those?
No, all those cats weren't playing the Fillmore at that time. Jimmy was playing the Fillmore because when you're saying you put 66, I know Jimmy did the Fillmore and also the Panhandle, because we talked, at that time I recall that. So I remember when they the Fillmore at that time when Graham first took over, it was mainly all the hippie bands, Grateful Dead.
Sure, Jefferson Airplane, yeah.
Bugs or whoever else. There were so many, but then I think when Miles went through there, they changed it.
So I want to be clear. So did you have an opportunity? I thought you meant because there were clubs that would stay open from 2 to 6, and it was more like.
No, that wasn't the Fillmore. See, the 2 to the morning was the after hour club down the street. I'm trying to think of the name. This brother owned it. I can't remember his name right now.
Right. It wasn't Jack's on Sutter, was it?
Which one?
Jack's on Sutter.
No, that was another one. No, it wasn't. I know that one. But
yeah, no, but before
all the gentrification and everybody, we go in overnight and come out in the morning.
Oh my God, no! What I was going to say is, like, before Bill Graham ever got control of the Fillmore West, and it was an all-black district. I mean. The book, like, you had the Montgomery brothers and Jimmy Smith. I'm just kind of figuring out, like, who were the mainstays in that all-black commerce Fillmore district.
Okay. Man, there were so many because it's just like you took me back.
I'm taking you way back, dude.
Yeah, and then we go back to there. Off the hand, listen, man. I think I'll be 84 or something. So
you're amazing, dude. No, you're good, man.
Total recollection, things run together. But it was a prosperous community, just like in LA. They had areas and they had clubs and they had different things. But the mainstream media and all of that never followed any of that. So that's why we're,
I mean, but I'm just like King Pleasure. Who were some of those older guard cats?
Well, see, you got to realize that all those cats you're talking about in those early days. I was a kid, bro. Then, if you look at, we're almost. Listen, I did the 100th anniversary at the UN for Duke Ellington.
I know. No, I know, dude. Come on, Yuma. I know.
No, I'm just saying. But I never had a chance to see Duke live. Okay, the kind of stuff because I was a kid. So anyway. So
with Sonny, would you have? It would be. One percussionist and a trap drummer. How many rhythms? Many?
No. Well, you want to ask about Sonny? I came up, and we were in Berkeley.
Yeah.
And there was a drummer named Paul Smith. He was an R&B drummer, very talented. Wow. He still is.
Wow.
And a great composer and writer. And he and I and Charles Shackelford became we would be playing like we did with Sonny every day, all day, and didn't have to worry about it. We create our own gigs.
Oh, I freaking love this
by the
stuff,
water
dude.
or
I
whatever.
freaking love. This is so mad. You were out just on the corner, you know.
Oh yeah, we do it. We would do it. Our thing was just like anytime, any key, anywhere. We just play, and we bring on other cats, and so we had a very tight unit, and Paul and I had very strong empatical. So when Sonny came in and he had a ready-made rhythm section. He'd come by, all the cats would come by, because we were playing all day, and so all the horn players would come by the house or where we were at, and we just play music. And when I moved to over to San Francisco out of Berkeley, we rehearsed every day for about a year. Never gigs. Sonny, Simmons, Paul Smith, and myself, and this saxophone player out of Chicago who was kind of crazy, Brian Rosenthal.
Dude, I am loving. Dude, you're telling me that Paul Smith is still with us?
Oh man,
dude, I mean, Juma, you're opening up a huge Pandora's box here, man. This is,
right now, we were there, and we played just about every day for about a year. And Sonny said, "Well, I'm going back to New York," and that's when him and Prince came back to New York, back east. And he cut some albums with Prince and Eric, and I was during that period. And he said, "Man, if you ever want to be a musician, you got to go to New York." So I came to New York, and about a month later, Paul came, and we played just about when Sonny wasn't gigging, no clubs.
Yeah, I did. No, I love where you go. I love you just playing all day, dude.
Yeah, we were just playing, and we had a place, a gallery on 3rd Street, right down the street from Slug, where all the cats would come to.
Oh my God!
And especially the California cats, or the cats that were out west, the West Coast cats, Dewey Redman, all the cats.
Oh my God, dude, this is nuts.
And believe it or not, me being the documentarian, I have all that stuff in my archives. You got to go to Columbia Rare Books. I have an affiliation with Columbia Library. I can't keep hauling stuff around, but they got. I have documentation.
When did you? What was the year you moved to San Francisco?
Well, actually moved. I was like a gypsy. Okay, I lived all over the Bay Area, and different things, but. Basically, I'm going to say late 1964, 65. I started spending more time. I had to think when I left. Actually,
no. You said that you officially moved to Berkeley in '66, and then after Berkeley, you moved to San Francisco.
No, it was earlier than that.
It was earlier than that.
Yeah, it was earlier than that because
64. 64.
I came to New York around 66, late 66.
Okay, so my next question was that Jimi Hendrix. You didn't get a chance to see Jimmy live before you played with him.
Yeah, I told you the first time I heard him play live, I didn't go to the Fillmore East. I went to the Panhandle, whatever that date was, and that had to be 65. But you have to realize, that had to be around 65.
Was he wearing like a blue blazer and like jumping on the?
I don't recall.
It certainly was. It was. I know cats. I know, like.
It could have been that military. It could have been that military with the gold buttons or something.
No, because I know that I interviewed this great drummer Carl T. Himmel out of Nashville, and he used to play. I mean, we're going back to Yuma Sultan, early mid '60s with. He used to play with the young Billy Cox, and then Hendrix showed up. I mean, he was in a blue blazer, jumping on the Wurlitzer. It was unbelievable, that guy.
Right. Well, listen, there's so much out there that the public on the world. In fact, I'm in very close contact with Billy also. Most of the cats, Billy Cox,
freaking Billy Cox he was singing soul R&B in the '60s, man.
Well, he still has his puts music together. He's got his band. Oh, The Last Gypsy Standing. That's yeah. But he's got music out right now. We're in touch. You know, in fact, we just did I don't even know. We were last year. We were in Michigan, and I'm trying to think. Wait, no, he wasn't at that one. I was somewhere with him within the last year. I'm trying to think which of these events we were at. Somewhere.
I dig. We are this. There's two guys that come to mind upon moving. We're not going to jump too far ahead, but I need you to talk about Philip Wilson and Gene Dinwiddie.
Oh, okay, those are great cats. Well, when you don't want to talk too far ahead,
No. We're not getting past Woodstock.
No, we're jumping right now from our last little. we were still in the 60s. Now we're going up to
71. No, I want to be clear about before we go on. You saw Hendrix in the Panhandle '65.
Yeah.
By the time you moved to New York, did you see him with the British Cats?
No. I saw him before.
Got it. So anyway, go on. So we're going to go back to the moving to New York, but this thing about because I mean those guys were in the Arts Ensemble of Chicago. I mean that was.
Oh yeah, and also Bag out of St. Louis.
Right,
you know.
Bag, man.
Okay,
Jesus, Oliver Lake? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Oliver Lake. I did recordings with Cal Perusha and on and on.
Oh my God, dude! This was so. I mean, you were a bohemian gypsy cat you were living in San Fran, Berkeley, but you were playing hours a day with Shackleford and Paul Smith, and then Sonny said, if you, yeah.
Go ahead. Excuse me.
No, I mean, because I don't consider you. I mean, Sonny said if you want to make it in music, or he said in jazz, you got to move to New York.
Listen, I had so many experiences in music. I was just a sound fanatic. How does that sound?
Absolutely. I know because
I loved all kind of music. I mean, because see, we rehearse, and then in the evening, I would go down and to wherever I could and sit and practice out of the fake book, play all the things you are and all blah blah blah. Just because that's not what we were doing, and I was just in learning. I was wide open, to learn. So,
but a lot of the jazzers, and I hate that word, but the point is that there was this whole thing, and to some degree, it's still true. If you want to make it, then you got to go to New York. That's not that's not necessarily for world music or for rock music, but it definitely is for.
No, that goes back to if you want to play like Charlie, you got to.
That's right. There you go. And you were not a bebop guy though. But anyways, right. Sonny was like, "Hey man, why don't you come to New York? That's where the real stuff's going. That's where heavy."
Right, exactly. And when I came to New York, I don't want to go through that, but I met all the cats, because he put me through the ringers, wonderfully, because I came in and first thing we go to Williamsburg and I meet Rashid Ali, Cecil Taylor.
Oh my God!
All the cats in the building and shit. It's like crazy. But that's jumping ahead.
No, we're marinating. So I want to be clear. Did you have a chance to go to? Oh, I finally remember the name. You must have gone to see Train and Elvin at the Jazz Workshop.
No, we were at. I saw Train in L.A. during Ascension. I was back in L.A.
Whoa, dude! Wait, he was dying at that point.
He was about a year maybe or so before.
Because Big Black, you run across Big Black before?
Oh yeah, well, last time the Big Black and I performed, we backed Richie Havens.
No, because I want to be clear. Black saw him at that same period of time. Train had 2 drummers, 2 upright bass players, and he had 2 Bibles in his jacket. He was in bad shape.
He had more than that because he was taking on all comers. And I was between what's the 2 Shack at Jimmy Garrison. What is it? Because I had all the guys were showing up with their instruments. I had an opportunity to contribute my sound at that time too, which was amazing.
Wait, I want you to please tell me this story.
But no, we all went. I mean, I'm saying at that time of Ascension, Train was coming to town and he was taking on all the cats. It was an open bandstand.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, seriously.
Oh, this is the most magical stuff. John Coltrane was having basically an open jam session at his shows.
Correct.
Oh
Correct.
My! Because Rashid Ali was in the band at that time, I think.
No, he had both bass players. I mean, two drummers. Right? So. Oh, interesting time.
To say the least. So you got up on the bandstand and broke out a tune that he.
No, you couldn't get on the bandstand. We were all there. Even the bass players were not on the bandstand. I'm trying to tell you, everybody was around the stage.
Oh my God!
About 30 cats. It was gone. Because it was the mainstream, and I'm saying he was taking on all comers. It was a orchestra.
This sounds like more like a sanctified setting.
Oh, it was.
Oh my God! So I want to be clear. Did Train pass before you moved to New York?
No.
So
no.
he was because
No.
I feel like 1967 is when he passed.
Yeah, and I know, and I was in New York, and at that time.
Right. So you saw him in New York as well, or you just saw all the?
Oh yeah, at the Vanguard. He was there. And, yeah.
Let's just you're again were you playing the bass fiddle still in New York?
Of course, I get my job back up. I'll play today, but I'm working on it.
Well, no, because it's
Yeah.
that you were walking into a heavy.
I was playing bass, and it was just very interesting during that time. Yes, I was playing bass, but I wasn't gigging.
I was gonna say because the scene was like
no, other than Sonny, at that time, Sonny Simmons, Barbara Donald, and we had a spot, True Creation from Vibration on 3rd Street.
I'm sorry, what was it called?
True Creation from Vibration.
This is magical psychedelic stuff. I cannot even believe. True creation from Vibration.
Yeah, and then you have to realize that at that time, the name of Sonny Simmons' band was the Depth, D-E-P-T-H, the Depth Provers.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah.
What?
And that's the same time, so you have to realize that around just after that, I took it up to Woodstock. And in late 1967 and 68, that was some of our only gigs with Sonny Simmons was at the
Joyous Lake?
No. It was one of the earliest festivals before the Woodstock Festival at Pam Copeland's farm. Sound Out.
Sound Out.
Yeah. I couldn't remember the name, but they were called the Sound Out. You had guests like Lieutenant Hamza Dean. It was very eclectic thing. And,
of course, no, I know. So it was a pre-Woodstock festival that doesn't get a lot of.
Yeah, it was the pre-Woodstock festival, correct?
I just want to be clear. I mean, Wilbur Ware, Buster Williams, Bob Cranshaw. I mean, these guys had the scene. These guys had the scene locked down. I mean,
I got a chance, to meet all those guys. You're going to pre-courses, Jim Cecil and those cats, and King Jimi, they were all precursors in a way. But I had a chance when I was with Artie to do double bass with Jimmy, and I still haven't figured out to this day. They said, "Man, you sure played different."
Hold on for a second. You and Garrison played double bass together?
Yeah.
This is do not deprive me.
He was one of my mentors. He just taught me how to play slow. He was coming down later on. But I was running bass.
Right.
I was always tripling up, and so those cats you mentioned. everything was an experience, from the teacher, and it just depends on how open you were to receive. To be honest with you, it was
True creation from vibration, man. This is great.
True creation from vibration.
No, but so you the working band with Sonny in New York who was in that band?
The nucleus was Paul Smith on drums, me on bass, Johnny Simmons, and Barbara Donald on trumpet.
Oh my God! I'm sorry. Yes,
and
right.
All the cats. I'm saying from Monty Waters to Dewey Redman to all the cats would come by and they would sit in. All the cats, Earl Cross, all the cats that were playing with Sun Ra, all kind of cats would just come by and listen and sit in. I'm just saying that was how eclectic it was, and I can only tell you because I have recordings of so many eclectic cats like that.
Please tell me that you crossed paths with Roy Brooks.
No, Roy and I I heard Roy a few times with the gigs that I was doing, but Roy Brooks, and I also hired his band. I'm not sure it was for Lincoln Center or when I was producing concerts. So Roy and I go way back. Roy was, of course. I mean, they were good cats. I mean, I'm just saying, great drummers.
No, Roy. I mean,
Two cats, but you mentioned. I mean, if I start thinking, I just think that cats that are still living, like Michael Carvin. He came in.
Well, he was younger though.
He was young, yeah, but we all.
Dude, that man is ridiculous, dude. Ridiculous player.
Tell me, I've had the experience of being with some amazing people, so I just hold it within my heart.
Were you? How did when you moved to New York? How quickly did you meet Warren Smith?
I met Warren Smith much later.
Much later, okay.
No, I'm going to say I met Warren in the maybe early 70s. Early,
because he was playing at the when you first moved to New York. Warren was playing at the Black Fat Pussycat, like opening for Bill Cosby and stuff. I was going
to say it was before Boom and all of that stuff.
It was before. Right. Did you? I'm just so. Explain. You weren't really. Maybe you were starving to death. You weren't really gigging a lot in New York. You were playing a lot.
Exactly.
So was it more of a move to be able to support yourself to go to Woodstock, or what was going on? Why'd you move there?
Oh, I moved there because I had a summer program where I could go up and play for the dance class and also be involved. You should look up Group 212, which was an intermediate workshop where they had, it was quite a ruckus place where they had musicians, they had all the arts and top teachers. In fact, the year I went up there was Bert Wilson. No, not Bert Wilson. Burton Green. You familiar with him?
Say his name again.
Burton Green.
Dude, no, this is not. I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, well, he was up there. He was a music director, and Michael Berardi at the time. They were handling the music in that area, and they had everything from arts to theater to all different types of presentations. So, and also gave me a summer getaway. And once I went up there, I was locked in, and they were presenting programs, and I was calling in guests like Sonny Simmons to come up and do weekend concerts, Sonny Murray, all kind of Noah Howard, all the crazy.
Oh my God! I just posted that ridiculous clip of Sonny Murray playing triple drums with Blakey and Elvin. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah. Well. Yeah.
Were you going over to either go see gigs or perform at the Lenox School? Where they'd have gigs with like Ornette or John Lewis was there.
No. I think.
Well, it wasn't really that far from upstate New York.
Right.
It was a Lenox School of Music. That's what it was.
Right. No. Those were early days. No, I've never gone there.
What I have something written down here called the Tinker Street Cinema. What was that?
Okay, there was a Tinker Street Cinema on August 9th, about 9 days before the Woodstock Festival, 69.
Yes.
Uh, we put it on the map where Jimmy came in and played with my band, which was some of the cats that you mentioned. It wasn't. They were on the road. Philip Wilson. We've never covered Philip Wilson and Gene.
We're gonna do this.
I remember now that we talked about him. But they were all with Butterfield's band.
That's right.
On salary, and when they were available, we played together because, as you know, they could play more than the blues.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And like Dinwiddie is the one that really groomed Dave Sanborn. And
also, Buzzy Featon told me Dinwiddie could play the hell out of the tambourine too. Unbelievable.
He could play the hell out of a number of instruments.
I know. So you're telling me that he was Sanborn sort of a mentor to Sanborn.
No, that's what I just said.
Yeah, no, I know that. I just want to confirm that. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm just trying to say that those cats like Buzz and they stuck in a rock and roll, but we were when we had our sessions on Friday nights and Sunday afternoons at the Tinker Street, it was about freedom, and we would go into the small units, and then we'd all play together, and that was part of the Aboriginal concept that we were presenting. And on August 9th, a week before Woodstock, just about, Jimmy came in and played with the band.
All right, I want to just be very clear about this.
Well, it's online. You just look it up. Look up Jimi Hendrix and.
No. I'm more interested in the collective of the Dinwiddie Wilson. Who was in the group? This wasn't Sonny Simmons.
Well, listen, we had Gene Dinwiddie, Rod Hicks, Philip Wilson, and then anybody that flowed through from Detroit in that era. We played with it. I can't remember all the keyboard players and the different cats that would come in, but we would play as much as we could. We were all hooked on music, and so like these cats, they had a rehearsal schedule, rental cars, houses paid for it, all that. I didn't have all that shit,
Totally,
but,
totally. No, I mean when they were not busy with Butter, you guys would play and just be. Was it a coffee house or it was a movie theater?
No, it was a theater. It was an old church converted to a theater to today. And
so when Jimmy, can you just talk about that whole like looking up and seeing Jimi Hendrix there? He's like, he sat in with you.
Man, listen, you gotta realize you're a musician, man, and I totally applaud Jimmy's mastery, but I also applaud that his humanness. Okay, that he was one cat that didn't come with his ego out front. He came to just be part of the spirit. It's so simple. So to explain that okay, like my thing in those days was improvisation with a theme. So and that's the kind of stuff I got from Olatunji. If you could sing it, you could play it.
Right,
okay?
Right.
And so we come in, and if you go online and you listen to it, you'll see we had the theme, and everybody was free to express themselves, but recognize the framework that you're operating in. Simple as that. So to get to guys like I'm gonna go back to Jim Dinwiddie and cats like Philip Wilson. They were masterful because they just understood sound, and spirit, and they all had they all had their I guess you say predilections, what they preferred, and that's what we did. We say, okay, you cats just want to play blues, okay. They come up and they might play a trio or it's a training, and and by the end of the night, she's the sound.
Dude, you guys were drunk with sound, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, it was the spirit. Yeah.
But at the time, Jimmy actually did not have a working band. He hired the group.
Oh, okay. At that time that he was there, yes, he had a working band. It was a fledgling band, and it was a band at that time. It was supposed to be. It was Billy Cox, Larry Lee, Gerardo Velez, myself, and him. And he didn't want to bring Mitch back, and he was looking for a drummer. And at that time, even all the cats that were there, I actually brought to the house to audition for him at different times. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, from Philip, he didn't quite go for Philip. You know? And also, you know, I even called Paul Smith from California and said, "Come on out, man. Jimmy needs a drummer." And he turned
So
it down.
when you moved to Woodstock, Paul moved back to the.
No, Paul went back. Before I would move to Woodstock, Paul went back. He couldn't take it. He came from a middle class family. He couldn't handle it.
No. So explain. You brought in Philip Wilson. Who did you ultimately get as a drummer?
When they were always there, man. You know, shit. But you know, we had. I mean, at the different. See, the thing is that on the weekend, first of all, Ali Abuwi, who played bassoon, flute, and he was a principal engineer. He monster drummer. In fact, with Sonny felt he was one of his best drummers he ever had.
Ali Abuwi, are you kidding me? He played the drum kit. Oh my God!
Bad.
Damn.
I mean, you know.
Damn.
You know, he could go from like Bohanna's to Elvin, you know, to Leader to Max. I'm trying to tell you, he was a damn cat. You know,
my God.
Wayne University. You know, they were good cats. You know, but he was all, you know, but he was always a willing spirit. So Philip come up. You know, we had different cats. And a lot of times, Barry Allshoot was there. I mean, you know, couldn't you know, Sonny Murray was gone, which was good.
Oh my God, dude.
But there's so many cats coming through, you know.
No, but you have to excuse me though. Who wound up being the drummer at Woodstock?
Mitch Mitchell. Mitch Mitchell was the original drummer of the Jimi Hendrix Experience. After the Jimi Hendrix Experience, Jimmy presented the Gypsy Sun and Rainbows at Woodstock. The management killed that and made it into the Band of Gypsies, which showed up at New Year's Eve for, you know, at the Fillmore. Those are the three categories of bands.
Right. When he showed up at Tinker Street, you said that.
When he showed up at the Tinker Street, we were doing the Gypsy Sun and Rainbows, and we had a house in up on Trevor Hollow Road in Boyceville, which they call Shokan. We had a house up there, and at that time, Billy was staying at the house, Larry Lee was staying at the house, Gerardo was staying at the house. I was back and forth. Mitch had not showed up until about, he had a room at the house too, other than the Chelsea. He was kind of an alienated guy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that you said that he was looking for a drummer, but you said
he was looking for a drummer. He didn't want to take Mitch back.
He didn't want to take Mitch back, so you brought in guys.
That's why
Mitch.
If Mitch was at he, like when Jimmy went to when he came to sing, I remember August 9th, Mitch wasn't anywhere around, or even a week before the concert. Okay.
Right.
So and that's why we didn't get many major rehearsals together, because I remember on the set. Oh, come on! I tell you who was there.
Yeah.
He's on there. Shit, I'm trying to think of the drummer, because he was there the day before Mitch was there, before we did the Tinker Street. I'll think of his name.
Yeah, no, so you were bringing in cats, but Philip was too free, and
no, he wasn't free. They were committed to Butter.
Sure.
Sure. When they were there, they were available, but they had their day job. You know.
But I mean, ultimately, Jimmy didn't what he wanted to get rid. He wasn't into Mitch. He was trying to bring in other cats.
If he had a preference, he didn't want Mitch and he didn't want Buddy. Buddy was calling. Okay. At that time.
Was Buddy living up in Woodstock?
No, he was in Massachusetts.
Okay, so Buddy was calling. Buddy, you didn't want Buddy.
Yeah, he was in Roxbury. I'm just saying, when we were at the house, I know I was there because I answered the phone. Out of the most trippy cats, I was the most sober.
Oh my God, Yuma, dude! You're the coolest freaking cat. Rejoined today by a cat who I am just overwhelmed with the energy and pulse and tension and release of his life. Not even his rhythm playing. He was everywhere at once, and has also remained part of the vibrant African Aboriginal folkloric music scene. Yuma Sultan, welcome back to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you. It's good to be back and speak with you again. So
it's an honor.
It's an honor, and as I mentioned yesterday, I do appreciate the work that you do, and one part of my concept have been musicians that have been out of the mainstream that have contributed to music, all genres, and not recognized. So
yeah, what's the point of high? I mean, really, what's the point? I mean, if I'm going to put up a clip of John Coltrane, I'd rather put up a clip of Jimmy Garrison playing a bass solo within John Coltrane. I mean, to me, the music of jazz is all about the accompanists anyway. And then you get a leader like John or Jimmy, and it's like Jimi Hendrix, and it's like they're as selfless as they come too. But I wanted to ask you, Yuma, if you could talk a little bit about a situation that was revelatory to me, was the idea that Newport Jazz Festival started to bring in a little bit more white rock acts, and it was getting less authentic. And then obviously when Newport came to New York, they were bringing in a lot of cats from out of the city, and you spearheaded a movement. I wanted you to talk about it. It was related to a different jazz festival that the New York Musicians Organization that actually adhered to the regional cats that deserve recognition. Could you talk about that?
Yes, I can. The time period that you're talking about is 1970, if I'm not mistaken. 1970, 71. And it was 1972. I would have to check my facts because of the time thing. It was 72. 72. 73. Newport got kicked out of Rhode Island and brought the festival to New York. And when they did, the musicians looked at the roster, and you found out that very few local musicians were involved. This was brought basically to our attention with someone that actually knew George Wing when George Wing was trying to play piano in Boston.
Right.
And Sam Rivers said, "Wait a minute, he couldn't even get a gig." Okay, Sam on the Newport roster, and all the thousands of musicians that were in New York, most of them were disgruntled. I mean, so many of them had side jobs, hand to mouth, like myself and many other musicians. So the buzz went out, and people started talking. And at that time, we had a location, Studio We, a community music project, where we offered music lessons, and we had activity music during the week. And one thing about Studio We, it encompassed all the black arts, it was called in those days. All the way we had we had exhibits, art exhibits, theater. We were
right. It was multi artistic venture. Yeah,
multicultural, correct. But the word went out. But there was a center and a hub, and given the time, I'll go back and tell you how Studio We was established. But you're interested in the involvement with the Newport Festival. So when he brought his roster in, and everybody, I mean, you go to the clubs, people talking about, you know, how it was a major thing, and you know, if you look on the roster, very few New York residents were there, and the musicians started talking, and finally said, "Oh man, you know, what can we do? You know, protest." And so we looked at all the various aspects. We looked at the actual mingus and protests across the street in Newport, Rhode Island earlier. You know, we drew off it and said, well, hey, you know, somebody brought up that. And then we had, Rasan and, the guys at the Guggenheim. We had the radio station, I mean, not the radio station, but why isn't in front of the music, the television station. We just kind of thought about the different types of protests that many of the people had done before us, and we decided to organize our own festivals. So the first venue we had was our own, which was Studio We. And from there, and all the musicians, we found out that, like, we have Milford Graves in Queens, we have so many other people that were available. I mean, even Sam Rivers operated under the charter that we had. And it started with an organization and sort of the general James Du Bois, who had, I don't know if you're familiar with him, he was a trumpet player, but he had come out of Pittsburgh, and he did early work with the black musician unions there, which was patterned after the 1900s. So he had a little experience in that. He had spots for musicians in Pittsburgh much earlier, prior to coming to New York.
Interesting.
And some organizational skills, and the word went out, and in order to have all involvement, the neutral ground was were the meetings with the University of the Streets on 7th Avenue and Avenue B, maybe, I think it is, and we started holding meetings there, and every time, one musician, to start out, Rashid Ali, Sam Rivers, James Du Bois, it was so many other musicians. I had to look at the board. Noah Howard, Ted Daniel, Hakeem. There was just so many different names, that were interested, and musicians were basically what we're talking about now, or not really known, for their own bands. There were sidemen like Sam Rivers had already played with Miles and so many other greats, and nobody knew about his R&B history and on and on. And there were just so many people who were always sidemen to other people, and there were, just great, great guys like Frank Foster before he became real famous,
If he ever really got famous. I mean, that guy was a monster player, but he would never...
Everybody thought he got his due when later on in life he went to Hollywood,
Oh, he did? I didn't even know that. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Well, all that kind of stuff, but we'll stick with the point right now, because I'm not casting opinions. I'm just trying to...
I dig.
Get the facts,
Well, no, I want to read, because, you were spot on. They got kicked out of Newport, and in 1972, they're doing Newport in New York, and the roster...
Right.
The roster is Billy Eckstein, Curtis Mayfield, B.B. King, Herbie Mann, Les McCann, and Roberta Flack. Now, so I just want to be clear, was it more of like, and because there's a lot of, Dizzy's on it, Kai Winding, Charlie Persip, Sonny Stitt, there's a lot of masters, but was it more the idea of not just the recognition of unsung black geniuses, but also the idea that it was just becoming a commercial affair?
Well, you're going to have to stick with the latter, that it became a commercial product.
Right.
And I would have to say it was a combination of the two, because everybody that you name were respected and they were stellar.
Sure.
But they weren't now. They weren't now. I mean,
what do you mean? I'm sorry. Say it again. They weren't what?
When I say now, they were not reflecting the music that was being created at that time, in a general term. And that's my opinion.
Interesting.
Okay, and other people shared similar opinions because, I mean, I know Train had passed, but there were no. Mingus had passed by then. You know what I'm saying? There were different elements of influences that were not represented. And so the cast felt that at least like I know at least Sam Rivers should have been on there, or somebody, there were just so many great musicians existing in New York, and so not to sidetrack, but the musicians, the local musicians, as I said previously, there were thousands of them that were disgruntled in location in the New York and the surrounding area. And many of them led their own bands and had a heart for the music and the music that was being created at that time. So we decided that we would get together. The first couple meetings was at Studio Week. And then as it expanded and more people came in, we decided that neutral ground would be the universal streets, which like Bill Dixon had used previous years for the Harvest. I can't say Harvest Fest. It's something Harvest, that he got a grant and brought in all the cast, and many of them that were there were involved. We were, and they saw, and we looked at other, other organizations that had tried to exist during that period that had come along. And with our conclusion, we said, well, the only way we could do it is a festival. So there were so many musicians involved, and also people that had, well, listen, I know a guy on A Street just got a gallery, so we'll program there.
Right.
We got it. We're running music at Studio Week. We're running music in Queens. Oh, yeah, we'll run it at the Henry Street Settlement. We'll run it in Harlem. Wherever there was a space, we would provide the music. And the concerts were free, because we wanted to have them free to the public, at that time, and to the people, for the music to reach the people, which people to the mainstream, it hadn't happened, and the clubs that were there had if you look at the club roster, the popular cast would come back every year. You could expect, oh, hey, man, I'm definitely going to see Train at the Vanguard or the Village Gate or something like that, to catch them the next round, or catch somebody at Slugs, or catch somebody up at the Uptown at Midlands or wherever it was, So the musicians, decided to do an alternative festival based around the concepts that happened in the protest festival in Newport. And
sure.
So there were, I think at that time, we probably came up with 30 locations in all boroughs. Okay. Because everybody was represented from, because everybody had their stronghold. The guys from Brooklyn, the guys from Queens, everybody had music in their own communities. And so it sort of, the catalyst was to bring them all together under one banner. And so that happened. And
did you? I mean, because I'm looking here, like this was more about, because in fairness to the Newport in New York, I'm looking. There was a reissue on Cobblestone, and I'm just going to list off the guys that that are playing on it that are featured. It's Mary Lou Williams, Mingus,
right.
Owens.
Oh, she was foundational. See, I know you could go through this, but as I mentioned earlier, there were many people foundational on there and
Right.
I could just tell you that.
But the idea was that there were so many musicians, and so many of them were not getting any exposure. So this is what it was about.
Well, I'm going to ask you. You started out with Mary Lou, and you started out with a list, and go down the list, and then I think I could be more definitive.
Yeah, you're gonna love the list because it's It's they had an R&B. The R&B stuff was the Les McCann. This to me is an adherence to. I don't know how many of these cats were living in New York City, but here we go. Alan Dawson, Stan Getz, Dizzy Gillespie, Benny Green, Roland Hanna, Percy Heath, Milt Jackson, Charles McPherson, Charles Mingus, Jimmy Owens, Max Roach, Buddy Tate, and Mary Lou Williams, and Cat Anderson.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that was at Radio City Music Hall after they had been bounced out of Rhode Island. So, my feeling is like, and I'm not going to, you were there, but it just was like, that's like foundational. And yet there was all this dozens and hundreds of incredible musicians that were getting no exposure, which is ultimately why you started to put on these concerts.
Well, if you listen to the variants and the cast, even the greats, listen, everybody you mentioned on there, I admire and admonish, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, not, but...
I get it.
Being of that generation, there was a new sound, and it was a new spirit. And
you're absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
Young people felt enough with that time of so-called evolution. I won't, I don't go into revolution, but evolution of the spirit of the community. We didn't feel that it was being represented at that time, and so. And there was the cool list where, if you look at some of the information I can send you on our roster, you say, "Damn," because
oh my God, are you kidding me? Yeah, all the stuff that was going on
that were involved are the cast we're talking about, side men, in a way, or as I mentioned in the beginning, not only was like guys like Sam Rivers were on not only side men but many great people, but they were a feat to continue with in their own areas, all the way from compositions to playing, and also recognizing the new sound that was being issued at that time. Because I think without what we were doing and what was going on at that time, music would not be the same. Which I won't go into.
No, you're exactly right, because you're talking about this explosive new. First of all, most of instrumental improvisational music was moving from acoustic to electric instrumentation, and on top of that, you had all these. All these burgeoning early rock groups that were completely influenced by all the great jazz that came before them. So it was, Stanley Cowell, Charles Tolliver, all the guys on Strata East, Babatunde Lee, Ornette had his house. You had, there were, and none of those cats were being featured. This was like again, Charles McPherson is still with us. Kenny Burrell is
he's still playing to the day.
These guys are masters,
Yeah. Well, a lot of those guys, but during that period, you had the young bloods coming down.
That's right.
I'm just saying.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it.
Younger and supported. Not only them, but you got the cats, that was out there for years, Archie Shepp, Sunrise. Come on, there was just so many areas, and respect for the other generation, was always there. It was always there, and there was just so many offshoots, and as you know, being who you are and a journalist, and there's just so many different schools, because I can't say, I'm not going to say cliques, but schools of sound, because you catch like a guy like based off of Bebop and Bird, you get cat like Jackie McLean.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
his playing is so much different than a guy like Sonny Simmons or Lester Gordon, or go back. You understand? But it was all gleaming, in a way. And they all gleamed off of Parker and Gillespie and all the early, bebop. So there were so many schools. But the school that was coming there were, as we mentioned, the cats that were most admired, like cats like Albert, but all the roots are the same, Albert Eiler and stuff, which Paul Smith did some recordings with him, wow. The guy came in, just because of association, cats.
I want to ask you, this is so fascinating. Well, I want to read you this quote first, because even though I lost the audio portion of our first interview, I did transcribe some of it, and one of the posts is on Facebook, and I want to read this to you. This is from Juma Sultan. After Jimi Hendrix died, I was living on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. We had a place called Studio We where I worked with the Community Music Project. We used to rehearse and have school, produce concerts. We tried to fit in music any way we could. On Fridays, we would have concerts on the 6th floor. That's where I got to know Archie Shepp. He was looking for other rhythms, so he hired me to play on Attica Blues. The thing about Jimmy and Archie is that they're going for a sound. Once they create that sound, you can play all the tunes. A guy like Archie was into the rhythms from all the way back. There was a sanctified church 2 doors up, and across the street from where I lived, I heard that music from the time I was a little child. At times, I participated in programs at the church. It was a little colony from North Carolina. The pastor came from Monrovia and established the church. He began bringing people in from his hometown. There were probably 10 or 12 houses in that little complex. We're a culmination of all our experiences. I wanted to play the trombone in elementary school. They gave me a baritone horn. In reflecting on that time, they sang all the old hymns, mainly a cappella with one guitar. That was from December 2016. That's how long ago. So it's been about 10 years since we talked.
And I forgot that, but
yeah,
everything in there is factual.
Yeah, that's my job. My job is not. I mean, this is. And the thing is, what I want you to riff on is this sanctified rhythms. Archie Shepp was interested in other rhythms. How far back can you talk about? Because, I mean, when I interviewed Jabo Starks and Clyde Stubblefield, and they grew up in the sanctified churches, there was no drum kit, so people were clapping on the 3 and 4. They weren't necessarily clapping on 2 and 4. They might be hitting sticks or clapping hands. When Archie, when you're talking about other rhythms, can you go a little bit deeper on that?
Well, I'm going to say not necessarily like Chano Pozo and the jazz thing that was happening early when the like congueros was introduced to jazz, like with Dizzy and all the early stuff. He was looking for more primary African rhythms before that,
right?
And that's what he appreciated. And then when you listen to it, even though in the mix, even up to today, when you listen to them, they're buried under. My emphasis in coming through is that I've always accentuated in my endeavors with the bands, and always had them predominant because as far as I'm concerned, that's the essence. Whether it's your speaking, singing, but it all starts with the rhythm and the melody follows or whatever. So, but I think conceptually, that's what he wanted to incorporate and not forget.
No, and would you? I mean, do you remember your first studio recording?
Yeah, Noah Howard.
Noah Howard.
Noah Howard. I did it for Douglas Recording, Douglas label.
Wow.
It's a classic.
No, it's Alan Douglas, right? I mean, that's unbelievable.
Oh, what did I didn't say Allen Doug. It was for Douglas Records. That
Right.
was what it was.
Right. No, that's
Yeah.
that's it. So,
That was my first. That was my first. Well, professional recording that was released. I did some stuff with guys in California, but no real studio. That was it. That was it.
so nothing that ever came out on record or 45 in California.
No, nothing like that. No.
Who tell me about Noah Howard?
Oh, what is it that you want to know?
The name does not ring a bell, and I'm just, but if it was on Douglas Records, it must have been a complete. It must have been a great album.
Oh yeah, you should listen to it. Mount Fuji. I'm trying to think of the name of the album. It was a great album. It's something. It was some work today. It was my first, and I was happy with it. I was introduced to him by Earl Cross. I don't know if you're familiar with Earl Cross.
No.
Trumpet player. Yeah, he was a trumpet player out of St. Louis, and I remember. I think Cyrone, Muhammad, Rashi Ali's brother was on it. I believe he was a drummer. It was. When you mentioned that the tunes are running through my head now, so being distracted. Da, 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 da.
All right, we have to get to the. So this was Muhammad Ali. You said was on drums.
Yeah.
The album 1971 Space Dimension. Maybe.
That's not the name of it. It's something else.
All right, I'm going to get it for you because this is on
Douglas Records.
Right. All right. Let's see. Was it the Black Ark?
Yeah, that was it. Black Ark Ensemble.
Black Ark Ensemble. Yeah, it just you know what's so classic on this website? It just says Juma on congas. Juma. That's it.
Well, that's all right.
It says Noah Howard, Norris Jones on bass, Muhammad Ali on drums, and then a guy named Orville O'Brien was the engineer.
Yeah, I came up with a piece of it anyway. You got it. Okay.
Right, we got Domiambra, Old Negro, Mount Fuji, and Queen Anne.
Negro, Mount Fuji is one of my favorites.
Wow, man! And so this was in 19.
Earl Cross on trumpet too. Did you miss him?
Let's say no. They might have neglected. Oh yeah, no. Look at this. We got Earl Cross on trumpet, Arthur Doyle on tenor.
Now that's why we made it so good because Arthur was playing totally free. He was one. He's one of. I don't know. Are you familiar with Arthur?
Dude, you're blowing my mind right now, Yuma.
Well, you gotta look at some of these guys up.
Leslie Waldron on piano. Leslie Waldron.
Oh, okay. Oh man, I wish I knew if he was alive or dead. No, he was quite a guy.
Are you out of all these cats?
He spent a lot. He spent a lot of time. See, I'm not to sidetrack.
No, it's all right.
Leslie, I played with him. A lot. He was quite a guy. Anyway. All right, let's stay on track.
Leslie had no relation to Mal Waldron, did he?
Don't know.
Okay, so out of
I doubt it. I knew Mal Waldron quietly, and his daughter, who is still active and quite prolific.
Yeah, I've interviewed her 3 times. Mal Waldron's amazing.
Yeah, quite.
Can you, as best as you remember, because this was a free. I mean, was a very free session. I mean, can you talk about, from your memory, the kind of mic placements that were going on? Because in today's modern studio recording, every piece of the drum kit is closed mic'd. There's no good leakage. And in the past, in those jazz sessions, going even back way before this one, you might drop a mic in the middle of the room and everyone would have to self-balance, and there was no overdubbing. And you basically did a first or second take, and that was it. And I just kind of wanted you to talk about this, because free jazz, recording it, it's kind of time out of mind. I mean, there is no TikTok time.
Well, being an archivist, and it's kind of lengthy, we're going to have to go into mic placement later on because I've come up with miraculous recordings with old Walden sax.
Oh, I believe you. I have no doubt, man. I have no doubt.
Being a musician, it's about mic placement. Now, in the digital era, I have my almost my drum seat mic just for in case I fart. No, don't put that down.
No. I got it. Yeah.
But everything is mic through the techno, and the object is having the direction and not having any one thing bleed into another. Separation is called. So I don't want to go through all of that. We can skip this in the interview because it's a whole nother technical area.
Well, no, maybe you can just talk about how that session was recorded.
No, that session was recorded with probably I'm gonna say I'm gonna say at that time 8 to 12 tracks, not 32.
Right.
How's that?
Right.
That kind of thing. To the best of my knowledge, I could be wrong. Could have been 16. Do you understand? But in the progression. But I think it was like 8 track. I know it was probably beyond 4 track. You know what I mean? I don't recall totally when you ask me.
No, what I do, I think the most important thing is do you remember if everybody hit at the same time? There was no overdubbing.
Well, no, hell no.
Hell no. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It wasn't even being thought of in those days.
I know.
The biggest setback for me in those days was that when you went to record and you weren't there as a producer or as the actual head of the leader of the band, is that when sometimes the stuff would come out and it would not be mixed the way you heard it or felt it outside.
That is a very interesting point. Yeah.
One of the masters of capturing it, which we all know, was Rudy Van Gelder. His mic placement was superlative.
Beyond the stuff was. It was the room, the reflection of the sound. I'm telling you, that to me was a very special time because there was no efficiency model or quote unquote a way to record an album. It was so free, and yet, when you heard when you heard that album in particular, were you happy with how you were mixed in that album?
Oh yeah, especially on some of them because the way they mixed it was me coming in and out. I said, "Damn," you know what I mean? Because you could hear. I was happy with the mix because usually in the mix they throw the congas on the bottom just to kind of be felt instead of heard.
Absolutely, no, totally. You're right. Absolutely correct. Yeah. I gotta go. This album is probably worth hundreds of dollars. I've never seen a copy of this record, ever.
He's passed away. He came up with some good material, but we will. Okay, Noah.
This is the other revelatory thing was, and again, just going to work here with Juma and this is this tuba trio with Joe Daly and Warren Smith, Sam Rivers tuba trio from '77.
Oh yeah. I wasn't on that one.
Oh, you were.
Yeah, I've done a lot of work. I'm trying to think. Okay, you sure it wasn't Santos? I don't recall that one. To be true with you. I'm trying to think.
I'm going to read off. It was on
one of my early. I did a lot of work with the orchestra and the colleges and different stuff. But to be honest with you, I can't. That should have been one I should remember because I just did something recently with Joe Daly and some kind of commemoration and stuff. And I knew him from somewhere.
Well, let me read off the. It might have been a combination. There's Sam Rivers tuba. Okay, so you're right, Yuma. Just hear me out here. Sam Rivers tuba trio with Joe Daly and Warren Smith, and then included on this record, which came out on a label called Circle, Earl Cross Sextet with Jimmy Voss, Daoud Haroun, Ronnie Boykins, Yuma Sultan, Roger Blank, J.L. March, and then there's jazz of the seven.
Umay Bonita.
Umay Bonita.
It's a hell of a record.
Tell me
That
about
one.
I mean, this is so there was like two different.
Man,
Yeah.
well, they're two different records. You know, I don't know who this label came out of Europe. Oh, I can tell you. Guess what? I recorded that at Studio We.
No way.
Sweet album. Yeah, sweet album. I'm just telling you that Ali was also, we were just such close brothers and partners. He was also a highly skilled engineer. And I go to Columbia Library, rare books, and they got like 30 cases of my archives. And you'll see a listing of cassettes that make you poopy. Okay.
Honestly, man, like this. You're talking about Muhammad Ali and you were close.
What? I worked with both of them.
So you were close with, who were you close with?
Muhammad Ali, Rashid's brother, worked very closely with Noah, much more, here and in Europe. Okay, Rashid and Noah were tight, but Noah's drummer was Muhammad, and I've done work with all of them.